welcome back to my channel. My name is Joe. I think my chair is broken, but you know, we're gonna fight through it. I hope I don't bust my behind making this video, and if I do, maybe I'll leave it in, maybe I'll take it out, I don't know. But you guys, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. I'm not disappointed, but I'm a little disappointed. And we're gonna talk about it. But before we talk about it, I just wanna say thank you to everyone who has viewed my last video. And if you haven't viewed my last video, go view it now. I wanna say thank you to everyone who has viewed my video and to the new subscribers that I have. I love you guys all. It's amazing that I'm even getting views at all. So it feels great. But before I start this video, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Once again, my name is Joe. I'm gonna make that a ringtone. It's not gonna be my ringtone, but it's gonna be someone's ringtone. So I've made a video, and if you have not seen it, it's my video before this one. Made a video last week about Alice in Borderland. I watched the first 3 episodes, and the first 3 episodes were generally really good. So I had high hopes. I had high hopes for this show because the first 3 episodes were bangers. And I watched episode 4 and 5, and it wasn't giving what I wanted it to give. We ended off at the last with the 3rd episode to where Arisu went into the hide and go seek game and he lost Karube and Shota. So let me tell you, it's not that episode 4 and 5 was bad. It was more like they really reached into the dramatics with episode 4 and 5, and it wasn't grabbing my attention like the first 3 episodes did, which kind of disappointed me because you started the show off so strong, but now we're kind of in the middle to where it's kind of like, okay, what's going on? Why are there a whole bunch of new characters now? I don't know, you kind of just lost me in the middle here. Not completely, but it definitely didn't live up to the first 3 episodes. Let's start with episode 4. So in episode 4, we finally re-meet Usagi. Usagi walks past Aritsu as he's laying on the ground depressed, and we kind of see her backstory and how she lost her dad, and that makes her like want to help Aritsu. So she takes him in and she makes him eat, and she makes him basically like want to live because he wanted to die, which honestly made me a little upset because it's kind of like, Aritsu, why do you want to die when Karube and Shota died for you? So you'd be letting them down if you wanted to die that bad. When he said he wanted to die, it made me mad because it's kind of like, they died for you, so what do you mean you want to die? But Usagi takes in Usagi takes in Aritsu, and she basically makes him want to live, and they join the next game together. And the next game was good. It wasn't as good as the first 3 games, but it was definitely good. It wasn't bad. I liked it. I liked the next game. The next game, basically, they start off in this truck, and the phone doesn't give them many instructions in this game. It just tells them, reach the distance to the goal. They're just like, okay, and they just assume that they have to run to the distance because it's this long highway filled with cars. While they're on the bus and they're trying to debate on what the next game, like what the game means by reach distance, they're with these 3 other guys who they met in this game, and it looks like the 3 guys have been together for like a week. One of the guys is injured, so obviously this is a running game, so he decided to just sit back and not hold his guys back, which was very noble of him. So Aritsu and Usagi go ahead and they start running with these 2 other guys, and they try and make it to the goal. All in all, I believe the end distance was like 10,000, and I was just like, oh my god, I cannot. I would have what? You guys, when I tell you, I would not have made it to the end because I would have been so out of breath. But this game really didn't live up to the first 3 games because of the fact that it was just so easy, I think. I mean, it only got hard when they got to the middle and they met this little wolf creature, and the wolf creature started attacking them and ended up killing one of the guys that they ended up meeting. That kind of was the only interesting part in the game. Well, no, I'm lying. That wasn't the only interesting part in the game. That was one of the interesting parts in the game, when the wolf kind of attacks them and you kind of get like this climax thing, like, okay, now they have to run for their lives for real this time. So The game continues, and midway they see a motorcycle, and Arisu figures out, oh, okay, we could take this motorcycle and go fuel up the bus that we were in, so we can help the guy make it to the end too. So he like comes back, he takes the motorcycle and he goes all the way back to the to the starting end to help this guy on the bus. What gets me about this part was like, Arisu was playing too much of a superhero. Like, I understand you want to help as many people as you can, and you don't want to survive the game while other people sacrifice themselves. It's understandable, but I don't know, he was just playing way too much of a superhero in this episode, and I just was not feeling it, guys. He ended up going back with the motorcycle and making it all the way to the guy, and they had like 15 minutes left at this point. Meanwhile, Usagi and the guy that she was with ended up going all the way to the end, to where they assumed was the goal was, and they just sat there and they just chilled and waited for Arisu and the other guy, the injured guy, to come. This is where I believe the second climate thing starts to happen. So at the end where Usagi and the guy was, while they were waiting for Arisu to return, there was a wall behind them. Again, they're assuming that this is the goal, and the wall actually starts to break, and little things of water start shooting out, and they're like, oh my god, there's water behind this wall and it's about to collapse. So they go ahead and start running, and all this water just swooshes down. And this is also where it got a little bit dramatic for me. Like, okay, the first 3 games, okay, they were dramatic, but they were realistic dramatic. This is where it got too dramatic, like too Hollywood for me. So they're running. Usagi's running and running, and she ends up losing the guy because he falls and trips, and you know, the wave just smacks him. And she's running and running, and then from the other end we see Arisu coming with the bus. I guess he figured out how to transfer the fuels, and he has the injured guy with him on the bus also. And they're meeting, and the bus kind of turns, and Usagi's running, and the wave's literally right behind her, and all of a sudden Arisu puts out his hand, and you just know what's gonna happen once he puts out the hand. And this is where Hollywood gets too much for me, because this is so unrealistic. I mean, it's a show, I know it's gonna be unrealistic, but still, this is where he was playing too much of a superhero in this episode. So Usagi takes his hand and jumps on the bus, and of course she makes it right in time for the wave to hit. A few minutes goes by, and the wave has hit. They're still on this bus. The lasers hadn't shot down at all at this point. And we learned at that moment that the entire time the goal was to stay in the bus. The bus was the goal. Now this made me mad. This made me mad because they did all of this when they shouldn't have. All they had to do was sit on the bus. And it also made me mad that they didn't even read what was on the bus. Like, they didn't read the letters that was on the bus before getting onto the bus. So if they would have read the letters, they wouldn't have to have gone through this game. So it's kind of like, okay, y'all did this just for the action. The plot twist is really what makes this particular game good. If it wasn't for the plot twist being that the bus was the goal, I feel like this game wouldn't have been as good. If it was just, okay, they reached the goal and then he went to go big guy, and the guy, they ride the bus all the way to the end and they make it like at the last minute, then it wouldn't have been as good. So the bus being the plot twist actually made that game better, which is why I ended up liking it. But all in all, I feel like episode 4 was just too dramatic for me. I don't know, guys. I just think the first 3 episodes were so good, and episode 4 comes in and it's like so dramatic, and I'm over here like, oh my god. It wasn't a complete letdown. I still enjoyed watching episode 4. It still gave me the climax, like I just said, with the bus being the goal and the wave coming in and the wolf coming in also. But I feel like compared to the first 3 episodes and how the show started in general, it should have been a little bit better. What completely disappointed me was episode 5. You guys, honestly, it took a little bit for me to get through episode 5 because it was too much going on in episode 5. Way too much. In episode 4, after the game, they realized that there's a beach somewhere. I believe it's mentioned in episode 1. So they go on a hunt for the beach. Another thing I realized before I continue, all the games take place at night. I don't know if that's like some type of hint at something or... But anyway, they end up going on this hunt for the beach. And then they see these group of players that have the bracelet that the first guy had, which we now know his name is Aguni. they end up seeing the bracelets on the team, and the team ends up going into a car and they drive away all happily. And then you see Usagi and Arisu following 2 different cars, because there were 2 different type of teams, following the cars, and they finally reach the beach, which is kind of like this hotel looking thing, or it looks like an ex-hotel. It was a resort, there we go. So the beach was basically a resort that got renamed as the beach. Anyway, Arisu and Usagi end up finding the beach, and they're wondering what to do when Arisu gets a gun pointed to his head and Usagi gets a bag put over her head, and he basically get kidnapped. And then it leads us to finally entering the beach itself, which, this is also what I kind of didn't like. It's kind of an escape from reality, kind of. You got all these young people and they're partying, and it looks like this entire cult, if you're asking me, but it's like this organization, and it looks like the organization or cult is being run by this one person, and then there's his subordinates, and then there's all these little people that does the work. This is again what really didn't make me like the episode, because it's kind of like, now we're taking a turn. Like, the first 3 episodes started completely different and just gave the show a completely different vibe, and by episode 5 I feel like, okay, now this show has taken a turn somewhere else. But anyway, they get their masks taken off and stuff, and they realize they're inside of the beach now, and then this is where we meet the Hatter, which I've never seen Alice in Wonderland, so don't kill me. I've never seen Alice in Wonderland, but I can already tell that that's a hint at the Mad Hatter, because I know that much. So you meet the Hatter, and he seems like he's the top guy. He opens his little hallway, and he just shows the wall filled with nothing but playing cards. He basically tells them that he has a theory on how to get out of the game, or country as he likes to call it. He believes that he can get out of the country by collecting every single card in the game. But he also believes that only one person can leave the country at a time. So it's kind of like, he believes that if he collects duplicates of each card, also, not only one person can leave, maybe a second person can leave, a third person can leave. I don't know, his theory is sounding kind of weird to me. Because it means that people are basically stuck in the game forever, because it's going to take a really long time for just one person, if you're not working in a team, to collect all these different type of cards. So I don't think it's true what he's saying. I don't think that just one person can leave the game, and I don't think they can leave the game from the cards. But I do think the cards have a significant meaning in this show. But anyway, he continues to tell them his theory, and they listen to him, and he kind of forces them into joining like his cult. I'm gonna call it a cult, guys, because I believe this is basically like a cult. Basically, whatever cards they get from competing a game, they have to bring to him, which is kind of weird. They join the cult because they have no choice, and it goes to the next day, and it's this all-out party that's going on. So it looks like this is a party hotel. Everybody is in escaping reality, and this is where we re-see Shuntaro, and we meet this new girl. Her name is Hikari, and we re-see Aguni. The next day comes, and it's time to join the game again, and the way they do it in the beach is that everyone's separated into groups. They're giving some type of card, and they go into the cars, and that car will take you to like whatever game you're supposed to be joining. Arisu and Usagi split up here because they were giving 2 different type of cards, and Arisu goes ahead, gets in the car, and gets to his game. And his game, okay, so his game I didn't really like for episode 5. Again, I feel like this is where it could have been better, or it could have been a little bit more dramatic. His game was basically try not to get electrocuted. So we have Arisu now, and we have Anne, which is one of the Hatter's subordinates, and then we have Hikari, which she is Shuntaru's friend, what it looks like. And it looks like her and Shuntaro have a plan, but we don't know they're playing yet. But we're in this game with Hikari, and then we have the first guy we saw in the second game, where he was the new guy and nobody wanted to help him. We have him in this game and 2 other people. And in this game, the water is rising. You're kind of in this room, and the water is gonna rise, and you have a light bulb in this other room, and you get to close and open the door as many times as you want to the other room, but you have to figure out which switch. So you have switches to the side also, and you have to figure out which switch, A, B, or C, turns the light bulb on. So the game starts, and already it looks like Anne knows how to solve the game, but she doesn't want to say anything to Arisu because she's kind of testing Arisu, which is kind of like, girl, why are you testing him? Like, who are you to test him? But Anne's there to test Arisu, and Arisu goes ahead and thinks it through and tries to solve this, and he realizes that the way to solve the game is basically to close the door, switch the flip, open the door while he switches the flip off, and have someone go in there and touch the light bulb and see if it's hot, because if it's hot it means this flip did switch, which was the smart way to do it. So he ends up beating the game, but again, I don't know. I think that game had to be like the worst out of the games that I've seen so far. Just because it was so anticlimactic that it was kind of like, I'm not feeling this. The game disappointed me. They get back from playing the game and Arisu is now confronted by Aguni. Before I continue, we learn that Aguni is this top guy, is a militant. We learn that he's the militant of the beach. And he's in control of all the weapons, and he has this group behind him, and they follow his orders. But Aguni has to follow the Hatter's orders. I don't like Aguni from the first time we saw him, but I really didn't like him now because he kind of walked up to Arisu and was like, oh, what happened to your friend? And kind of just played Karube by saying, I guess only the weak fish survive. But I was like, sir, calm down. Calm down, because you're not even all that. Aguni demands that Usagi comes with him, and he's about to snatch her up. Well, he sends one of his subordinates to snatch her up when the Hatter comes in and basically tells Aguni to calm down because he's not the big boss here. And there you can see that Aguni has to listen to the Hatter no matter what. Then after the whole fiasco there, we get brought up to this organization type room board meeting thing. And we get to see who's kind of in the board, and Shuntaro is there. So Shuntaro is a big player then because he's a part of the board, and they're kind of bringing Arisu into the board. It looks like the Hatter has something. It looks like Arisu caught the Hatter's eyes, and it also looks like Aaron put in a good word for Arisu. Now he's in this board with people that he don't really trust, and I don't trust either. That was the main basis of episode 5. I didn't really like it, guys. Episode 5 really threw me off. I feel like episode 5 was just too much going on, too confusing, a little confusing, honestly. And it just, it's really taking the show a different way. I'm really hoping that the next 3 episodes are better than episode 5 and episode 4. But I don't know. I came in for this with such high hopes. I really thought since episode 1, 2, and 3 were so good that episode 4 and 5 were going to be even better. But it kind of threw me off. And now I don't know. I have no clue if it's going to continue to be good or if that's it for that. But I'm going to watch I'm going to have hope. I'm going to have hope. Maybe it'll pick itself back up. But definitely I would rate episode 4 and 5 6 out of 10. And the 6 is mostly because of episode 4. So those are my thoughts on episodes 4 and 5, guys. I really wish it could have been a little better, but I don't know. I have high hopes, so maybe the rest of the show will be better. We'll see. Let me know what you guys thought about episode 4 and 5. Did you think it was good? Did you think it was a little too dramatic? Or did you think it was confusing like I did? Comment down below your thoughts, and thank you. Thank you guys for watching and tuning into my channel. Ooh, that sounded like I was dying. I really hope the show gets better, but it started off so good. But we'll see. But thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. If no one has told you today, you're wonderful, you're great, you're awesome. Go achieve everything you want to do. Go do everything you want to do. Keep being yourself. Not only that, keep loving yourself, because that's important. I will see you guys the next video. Peace.